So, welcome everyone, all our listeners, and welcome to our episode number 25 of our talk show series, Productivity League. And it is a new experience for all of us, including me. So, this is the first show where we are actually going live video online. So far, we have been doing live audio events for the first 24 events. This is the first episode that we are actually doing live video online. So, welcome to all the guests. You are special for us since you are a part of the 25th show, but technically, you're actually a part of the first show, which is actually going live video online for the first time.
Thank you.
So, so this is one of the very special episodes for us where we actually celebrate the 25th episode, the silver jubilee of our talk show series Productivity League, hosted by We360.ai. And in all our episodes, we have been mentioning that every time that productivity is actually an overgrowing habit. And we learn each day and implement the learnings to be at least 0.1% better every day. And that's how I think we have also been able to transform from episode one, where we are just a normal talk show, to the episode number 25 we have, where we are actually having some amazing guests and we are actually interacting live video online. So we always say that in our talk show series, Productive League, our mission is always clear. It is actually to build a dynamic and constructive community around this vital topic, productivity. And the objective is that we all grow together with the collective knowledge of our entire community. Hello, everyone. I'm Kunal Sinha, your host, for the first time coming live in front of you, all of you. And today we are going to dive into a very interesting topic: how 360-degree feedback facilitates the personality development or the personal development of the employee and the team. Now, this will definitely be an interesting topic while we are around the appraisal and the performance review season. And we all know that in this ever evolving landscape of modern workplaces, performance reviews stand as an important moments for both employees and employers alike. And they're not just routine feedback assessments. In fact, they are opportunities for growth, development, and mutual understanding between the employer and the employee, or the manager and the team. And at the heart of these discussions lies a crucial element, and that is constructive feedback. Now, when we talk about constructive feedback or a 360-degree feedback, it is not merely about conveying feedback. In fact, it's about creating an environment where individuals feel empowered to share their thoughts, receive the constructive criticism, and of course, craft a path towards their personal development and their organizational business growth. And today we are here to explore how feedback plays an important role in the performance enhancements of the team and of course for the growth of the organization. And today we have some amazing guests right in front of all of you who bring a wealth of experience around building and managing teams across various industries. So not taking much of the time, let me quickly introduce you to the amazing speakers for today's events. In this episode, I'm privileged to host four amazing people: Pratnya, Justin, Atm, and Samir. Now, I will quickly introduce all the speakers and then I'll hand over the mic to them for taking us through their journey and the detailed introduction. So, starting with Pratnya, she has around 8 years of experience in various domains and functions and is a versatile and a dynamic human resources professional. She's currently serving as assistant manager human resources at Ajnalens. So, welcome, Pratnya. Our second guest, Justin, is an HR professional and also a career counselor. He is also a member of NHRD Chennai chapter, and he's currently serving as manager HR at NDM Software. We are very glad to have you, Justin, here.
Thank you,
Mr.
Kunal.
Samir, he's a senior HR. Yeah, thanks, Justin. So, Mr. Samir, he's a senior HR consultant and an enabler with a rich experience in all human resources of people dimensions. At the same point of time, he's also a mentor, a transformation change catalyst, a collaborator, and a teacher. And currently, he's serving in a freelance role as a practice head of people process at Leap to Excel Consulting. So, welcome, Mr. Samir. We're really glad and privileged to have you here on the show today.
Thank you.
Our final fourth guest, he's about to join because of some of his last time urgencies. So, he'll be joining us within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So he's Mr. Atma. He's an HR professional, also recognized as 40 under 40 leader. He's also a top HR voice over LinkedIn, and he's currently serving as HR business partner at Netflix. Yes, our favorite binge watching at Netflix. So he is an HR partner, business partner at Netflix. He'll be joining us shortly in next 5 to 10 minutes. So welcome all the amazing guests to our today's special event, and we are really privileged to have you all in our Silver Jubilee episode show today, where we are going live video online for the first time. Thanks for being thanks for being a part of this particular show. Fine. So before we move into the actual event, let me quickly explain the structure of today's event, or how we generally do in every event. So I would like all of you to start with like taking out 2 to 3 minutes and take us through your journey and your experiences. And then after that, we can get into the specific questions that we have received from our LinkedIn community and listeners. And then I will have separate questions for all of you tailored to your specific experience and exposure. So for those questions, I would definitely like to understand from all of you how the same challenges and like how the same problems have solutions being addressed differently to different teams and industries, and how you cater to those different challenges. So, ladies, like following the routine of ladies first, Pradnya would like to start with you, handing with the mic to you.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you for having me in today's discussion. Quickly letting know about my journey, my experience. I carry total experience of 7 plus years, and I started my journey with a non-HR background in a banking industry. Post which always wanted to do my specialization into something, pursue my specialization masters into something. That's how I went ahead and took up human resources as my specialization, and post which my journey started full-fledged into human resources, wherein I was lucky to have my exposure into different industries like consulting and edtech, and very recently into emerging technologies, extended reality for that matter, into different multiple capacities. For example, into talent acquisition, handling end-to-end recruitments, employee engagement, and culture building also has been a huge part of my journey. That's a little bit about me.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, moving to you, Justin, something about you and your journey.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Kunal. Thanks for having me here as part of the host here. And to start off with my experience and my journey into recruitment or like HR, so it started since 2008. I like started my career after my engineering as a lecturer, where I catered like I will be like good to get into an administrative role, and that's when I started with my MBA with University of Wales, UK. And I just like wanted to have it in a multicultural thing. So we just like took it in Singapore campus, and where we had like Chinese, Filipinos, and all different kind of people culture there we had. So I loved that kind of a culture. Like I want to have a cultural mix there. So that is when we will have a widespread ideas. So that's how I started off, and then I came back to India in 2011 and started with my HR career. Started off into recruitment and then got into strategies, employee engagement, and everything. So I'm now, if you see, like I've experienced in all the modules, taking part in guest lectures, career development programs, and lot. So it's like widespread experience again.
Wonderful. So, you just followed your heart and you just listened to the well known saying, do what you love.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So,
Yes.
coming to you, Mr. Samir, with
Yes.
your
That's
rich
when
and
like we
versatile.
will be like shining, right?
Yeah, yeah. So coming to you, Mr. Samir, like if you can just walk us through your journey with your like so amazing and vast and rich experience.
Okay, thank you very much, Kunal, and thanks for inviting me on this show, which is first online or live program. Uh, Let me tell you something, and all viewers about me. Uh, After my post graduation in human resources, because my HR was my passion, and that's why I entered into this profession. And last 33 years, I'm in this profession. Uh, Started working in different companies, got into, see, out of 33, almost 20 years, 22 years I spent in multinational, and rest in Indian organizations. So uh, I mainly worked in manufacturing and project management organization. uh, Interestingly, I got a very good opportunities to work in various areas of HR, and that's why I worked in generalist HR role always. And last 15 years, before I started my own consulting, I was fortunate to head the organization as CHRO, and help the organization to uh, build and transform its culture. So that's the kind of experience I bring on the table, the growth and transformation, and that is something which my passion is also. So basically, I think that HR is a enabler's role as well as service role. So with these two different tools, actually, we can support the business. Finally, as an enabler role, we need to see how the organization can grow uh, by various interventions. We can bring in people, because according to me, in any industry, be it IT, be it manufacturing, be it fintech, people is the focal point, and that's a variable which makes the difference. And from that perspective, I think my experience so far has been very exciting and very enriching for myself. And this journey, I feel that it could be it could be a see through and very different change in the organization if you follow the right practices and processes for people. And I'm here to definitely share a few of the aspects which I have learned in my career so far, and still learning, because HR is something which keeps on going as an experience. Thank you.
Very, very rightly said, Mr. Samir. Of course, people are the backbone of any organization and any system. Because even it's a saying, like even for the process and for the machine, any process and any machine is only as efficient as the person sitting in front of that specific process or the machine. So, of course, at the end of the day, it's always people who actually create that change.
It is actually an infinite possibility with the human beings as a in our organization as a variable. So
Definitely.
uh, there are always the capacity for any machine. uh, I don't know, I don't want to comment on AI, but then uh, there are definite limitations for the machine to perform, but then human being can make kind of a huge change in himself or herself, and the organization as well.
Of course, of course. Very, very rightly said. Yes. So, thanks for the quick introduction, and it was really exciting to like learn about your journey. And of course, that journey or that experience is actually going to like help a lot of the listeners out here, where they'll be able to understand like various kind of thought process and the perspectives on the same challenges that most of the HRs or most of the HR leaders and even business founders have been facing across. So
Yeah.
what I'll do is like now we'll get into this specific set of questions where that we have received from the listeners. And what I'll do is I'll keep these questions in random order so that I can stay as unbiased as possible by not following a certain priorities towards any of the speakers or of course towards the community members who have posted these questions. So, Mr. Samir, since you were the last one to introduce yourself, I would like you to start with the first question. So, uh, I'm like in your like since you have such diversified and like vast experience, uh, in your experience, what do you feel that how can organizations facilitate the employee development initiatives so that they can promote growth and also advancement in the workplace?
Well, I think this is very important question, because organizations grow with the kind of a learning, because everybody who is working in the organization, right from the owner or CEO or MD till the last person. And I have seen that companies who promote and encourage learning in the organization are called learning organizations. And learning organizations, I have seen in my career, grow better and faster than organizations which are not taking learning as a fundamental need of the business. So, according to me, there are two aspects of any learning or development process. One is that for the employee who is a beneficiary, and employee can really get more knowledge, uh, get more insight, wisdom by learning new things. and he or she can develop himself or herself in much better way to perform and be efficient. At the same time, organizations are getting new skill set in people by providing the learning, and both these are so complementary to each other that helps the individual as well as organization to grow. And that is something which is very important, that anything which we do for people, it needs to value add in the people as well as organization, and that only that works then. So there are various ways and means to uh, follow the employee development initiative. Firstly, there are two categories. One is a functional or technical training or development for the people, and secondly is the soft skill training, or it is called even a behavioral training. Uh, that is the these are the two ways of managing the employee development in organizations where I have worked, and still in consulting we are working. The leadership development program or management development program, supervisory development program, and workers development program or blue collar work development program are like individual excellence programs. How I can be a better leader, how I can be a better manager, how I can be better supervisor, or how I can be an individual contributor. So this is something which organizations follow to develop the people. Second is lateral training or lateral learning, which is on the job training, that you put it in the job, you know that this person is not fully trained, fully learned the skill set, but then through experiential learning helps him or her to grow within the organization. Then third methodology, I'm not going by the sequence, but then in random I'm talking about coaching and mentoring. These are the two things which we can talk later also, which helps the individual to develop himself or herself in big way. Then many organizations start the project work, like people are given a projects where the person can do the job also but learn in the process that project, and it is very closely monitored. So that helps in individual development. Many organizations face the problem of people working in silos, functions working in silos. So cross functional teams are formed to do the particular work where the contribution from everybody is required, and that gives a very good experience now to how to manage people within the team. And then last two are case studies and simulation based training. So you can go through the case study, understand the case, or there is a simulation and you need to perform a role, and then you can learn through. And the last one, which we are going to talk about in a later piece of this discussion, that the e-learning modules, which is a big help for learning in the organizations. So these are the few basic employee development related things, and there could be a different trainings, learnings, and things which will develop the person in the organization. That is something which I feel are important factors in employee development, which actually finally gives the success to the organization in its growth or transformation as well. Over to you, Kunal. Hello.
Thanks, Mr. Samir. I just got disconnected for a second.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot, of course, and that was a very intensive and like very deep researched answer, and of course that shows what kind of vast experience you have, and like what is the magnitude of the implementations that you've already done, because you've very clearly and specifically broken down the training into multiple sets. Because we as general people, we just understand that we have to train resources. We don't understand from so many different perspectives of the trainings. So that's a very helpful point for, of course, all the budding HRs and to all the HRs who are just building up their careers in the initial phase, and to all the business leaders also who understands that okay, fine, it's not just a mere a normal like 1 to 2 hours training session that you can just perform and you can expect the employees or the company or the team to grow on that specific level. It has to be multi-dimensional and like multifunctional aspects of the training part. So thanks for the
No, in fact,
detailed.
actually, let me add one thing, that all other things help a lot. It is said that if somebody is into learning room or a training room and have a training, person retains only 20 to 30% of that, and not 100% what is being taught in the classroom. So you need to combine or kind of a mix the experiential learning as well as the theoretical or base learning techniques in this.
Yes, so it's not just a one-time exercise. In fact, it's a continuous implementation and execution of a set of processes.
Correct.
Yeah. So coming to you, Justin, and so I would want to understand from you, like since you started your career from a very different kind of genre, then you actually loved about interacting with people. So, like in your experience, I'm like, can you explain that how getting the feedback from different people in a 360-degree review is different from a normal usual performance evaluation, and more importantly, how does it help the people or the team to improve themselves?
Great. So when we talk about 360-degree view, so it's completely into a different function. Actually, to be on a honest part, like see, I was like into a lot of talk shows or like I am into guest lecturings. When we go for it, a 360-degree view is like something where we actually evolve ourselves into the next level. That is how I see myself. So when we get in earlier, like erstwhile model, if you see, it was like going to be from a superior to a junior or a manager to her reporting. So it was like it can be a bias or it will be like more towards a particular specific skills alone. Now getting into a 360-degree, people involved are like your peers, subordinates, your teammates, your friends who like work in a different teams, all the stakeholders. When it especially comes to recruitment or like HR, if you see, it will be like more of like stakeholder management, because like we closely work with the stakeholders where we need to take them as the customers. So we need to get their feedback, how things are done, how we can improve ourselves. So now when this comes as like 360-degree, earlier it used to be like only from manager to a reporting, it's like only one towards like one specific route. Now it is like you have like a 360-degree view of yourself, how you are approaching your stakeholders, how you are interacting with your teammates, and how you are like working along with your peers and like your managers and along with your reportees. So now this one actually helps you. See, I will literally give you an example rather than like going into multiple theories. I will just like give you an example. So when we go for this like guest lecturings and all, like we will be like talking almost an hour or two, but we never know how it is reaching themselves, like what exactly they need. So that is what like we need to look at, right? Like when we go for these feedback sessions, what I have learned in the last 2 3 years is more than we talk about ourselves, like the interactive sessions, like how we do the live shows now. So what exactly they wanted. So this is one of the best way of like saying like it's a 360-degree view. Whatever this talk show itself is like a 360-degree feedback actually, because it's a different questions from different people where we are interacting and we are like sharing our thoughts. So now this will be like even like what like Samir has like told me now. Now it's a different learning for me. So we get to learn from different people. The learning curve going to increase a lot with 360-degree performance. And to be on a honest part, like in the next 2 3 years or like maybe next, even like, I will say like by next year itself, like every company will be getting into this 360-degree view. Already when I was with Athos, like earlier with my company, we had this 360-degree view for a training sessions. We used to do have the training sessions where we had this 360-degree model, because like I used to be a trainer there again. So that like we used to have whether it is reaching the right target people, the right crowd, everything. So we used to have this context called coin. So whether like the context, the observation, the index, or what is next. So all this has been tracked on the flow. So that is how an individual's performance as well as the individual learning has been taken care. So 360 degree is going to be a greater impact on an individual growth, performance, and again on the self-learning. So end of the day, again, it's everything is learning, right? So 360 helps us to learn more. So that is how I do. Thanks,
Perfect.
Kunal.
Perfect. That's a very new perspective, and looking at the feedback from a very different perspective, and like actually looking at from a learning perspective. And of course, I think that's how feedback started in the first place. But then maybe possible they might have actually lost the real reason. And of course, we actually need to get back to the real reason that is actually meant for the learning. Is not just meant for the grilling of the team member, which generally most of the managers of the companies thinks of.
So this is like we need to take this as a positive criticism. It's not about like individuals or like a personal. It's not again a personal comment, right? It's about the work environment. It's not again towards a person. So that's how we have to
Yeah.
take it.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, Pradnya, like continuing the same question, and I would want to understand your view also on this. Like that, how does 360-degree feedback differ from the traditional performance evaluations, and why is it crucial for personal development?
Certainly, certainly, Kunal. So, in a 360-degree performance evaluation method, an employee, as you know, both of these speakers rightly mentioned that they receive a feedback from their managers, from their peers, or from their co-workers, from their subordinates, and at times even from their external stakeholders. Right? Some companies also involve just external stakeholders, like for example, their suppliers or their customers, to give a feedback for a particular employee, which means a person or an employee does receive a feedback or insight about his strengths and weaknesses, not just from the perspective or eyes of a manager, but also from others that are involved in the environment, or others that share the same work environment. So I would say it can definitely reduce or eliminate any kind of biases that are involved while making any kind of a performance evaluation for an employee. At the same time, I think so, since added perspectives are involved, it gives a better understanding about a person's performance or their competencies. If we talk about the differences between the two, I think so one is more focused on providing a 360-degree view, which gives a holistic view of a person's not just performance, but also their behaviors and their total impact on the organization, right? Whereas traditional methods, as Justin rightly mentioned, that they are majorly focused only on the performance, or majorly on any particular achievements of the targets. Secondly is, I would say, 360-degree evaluations are more development in nature, right? They can definitely create or foster a better professional or a personal growth in an employee. And traditional methods, on the other side, might not really focus on the overall development of an employee, since these are just feedbacks received from a manager or a supervisor, and has a top down approach majorly. Thirdly is, I would say that 360-degree evaluations, they create in a way a very comprehensive environment of feedback, right? So when your manager is open to you, when he's bringing out different perspectives from different other stakeholders, I think so it creates a more open communication, right? And it definitely creates an environment of continuous learning. Whereas in the traditional methods, for that matter, the communication might be majorly focused only on the performance outcomes, which might not really encourage open dialogue between the two parties. So that's the difference, I think, so I can talk about. If I talk about why is it crucial for personal development, so I think so when you get insights from an array of sources, one tends to have a well-rounded view of their performance. And I think so, not just the performance, but also on how they are perceived by others in the organization, right? And that itself ticks, right? That itself creates an awareness, which is a very, very crucial step in your personal development. And this really helps the person or the employee, along with their managers, to create or co-create a targeted personal development plan. And this again, it's a cycle, right? It creates continuous learning. And I think so in the bigger picture, what it creates, it creates an understanding about how an employee's performance or their behavior impacts others in the organization. So I think so that's the importance of 360-degree evaluations.
Okay, thanks, Pradnya. Of course, like I mean that enlightens and like that expands the view that was presented by Justin. And so, meanwhile, we are also joined with our fourth guest, Atma. So, I'll just quickly once again introduce Atma to our audience. So, he's an HR professional and also recognized as a 40 under 40 leader. And he's also a top HR voice over LinkedIn. And he's currently serving as an HR business partner at Netflix. As I told you, our favorite binge watching Adda. So, welcome, Atma, to the show. And we were just discussing the views and the perspectives of everyone, like how 360-degree feedback helps in terms of the personal development and how it is useful. So I'm like continuing the same question. I could have actually taken your insights of the same question, but since we already have a lot on this, I would want you to actually like talk about the other perspective on the same stuff, wherein like I mean, in your experiences, you have been part of multiple organizations. You have been actually recognized with so many accolades. So you have worked across multiple challenges, and you might have seen the challenges coming from both the sides, from the leader side and from the employee side. But when we talk about the leaders buy-in, so what do you think that what role does the leadership buy-in play in the successful implementation of this 360-degree feedback process?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, you see me on the mobile phone camera and little haphazard because I'm right now moving in and all I could commit to location is like 30 minutes, that too on my phone. So yeah, please bear with that. But that will not be any kind of compromise with the content what we're going to talk about it today. When we talk about 360 implementation, the most important thing what I have seen in the organization wherever it was successful was the leadership buy-in. So if I talk about the previous experiences or even if my current experiences, it is modeled at the top. When I say model at the top, they take it very seriously. They provide all the feedbacks to the relevant stakeholders and also they take actions on their feedback and they make sure that whatever actions are coming to them about their -1 and -2s, they also take actions on them and close the loop. And this is done year on year on a continuous basis. And that's how it is being successful. I've seen in two organizations so far. This is the mantra, like they have to model it and they have to, reinforce it continuously.
Yep, yep. So of course, it's always the top-down approach. More importantly, which actually creates that impact. Yep. And it's perfectly okay to come down on a mobile camera because it's just that like Justin also very rightly said, this is also a 360-degree feedback. We're just learning from each other, and it's a casual community, so we can stay as we exactly are. So but still, thanks Atma for making it even across like amidst all of your commitments. So thanks. So Mr. Samir, coming back to you, like sorry for the very long pause.
No, no
It
problem.
was yeah. So now, since you come with a very, very rich experience across leadership, I'm like across mentorship and coaching. So my next question would definitely be centered around the same thing. That how does you think that like the personalized coaching and mentoring contributes to the professional growth and the performance improvement of the employees?
Well, I think we use coaching and mentoring in a very generalistic way in our life, organizational life, I would say, uh, and it is also misunderstood concepts because of various things we keep on reading about the coaching and mentoring. Let me tell you. It is considered to be synonyms, but then those are not. Coaching and mentoring are two different things, but both are helpful for any individual to grow. Uh, Coaching is something that coach is not supposed to give the solutions to the individual. Coaching is listening to the person or coachee very carefully, ask those questions which will throw the light on individuals blind spots and encourage coachee to understand where the problem could be and how I can come out with the solution. I think coach helps individual to understand the blind spots which during the regular life individual may not be able to find out, and asking right questions, asking those questions which are unexplored, and things which individual might have not thought. Coach helps to uh, reveal those things to the individual. So coach shows the mirror to the individual that this is something which you are, and then see what you need to do differently to be successful, do differently to grow and develop yourself. So coaching helps in these manner very very clearly, and that's how the coaching is becoming one of the very empowering tool for HR function in the organization. And coaching is not giving any gyan or solutions. It is it is it is it is not it is not something that you need to have a subject knowledge. You can coach differently, and that's why you can see the life coach, functional coach, or generalist coach. So there are different coaches who manage the coaching in a very different way, but then coaching makes a lot of difference to the individual. And we have also experienced in our lives sometimes that somebody is asking some questions which are really we are not thought of. Mentoring is slightly different. Mentoring is somebody who owns expertise, who owns the knowledge, the information, and in-depth understanding of that subject, who try to mentor the individual about the subject knowledge. So it's a functional knowledge given to the individual, which usually in our training programs or in various types of trainings and learning programs we don't get, because these are the this is something, mentoring is the customized kind of a learning process. So mentor gives the perspective, mentor gives the knowledge, guides the mentee during the problem where the solution is mostly awaited by the individual. Somebody needs to guide me, and that need is fulfilled by the mentor in that emergency situation or where you are in a problem. But then in a long term kind of a intervention from the mentor, it's mentoring, which we call that developing the person by giving the exposure. And coach and mentor, both roles can be played by the direct manager. That is very important. And uh, now you must be hearing the word of a coaching organization. So and mentoring organization, so both are different perspective and can be utilized in a very different way in different situations. So that is the kind of a two methodologies I can see which helps the individual to grow. One gives the perspective and food for thought. Second adds the knowledge and wisdom to the individual by virtue of the experience the mentor has. So both are equally important, and I think direct manager or a grandparent of uh, employee can use these two methodologies to create right employee strength, but then employee development. But at the same time, there are professionals who you work as a coach, work as a mentor. They can be very helpful in this kind of interventions. And I believe that this is one of the modern ways of developing people without saying that okay, you are learning.
So yes, so very rightly said. Of course, a manager could be very effective for the development if he acts both as a coach and a mentor. Like like various times we have seen that like sometimes we actually get into the coaching part as a manager, but then we tend to oversee, or like we tend to ignore the mentorship part, that you've already been trained on the things, you should actually lead it on your own, which actually is not true. Of course, every employee, every person needs a mentor. So that's very rightly said, Mr. Samir, and of course, like that's helpful. So, Justin, coming to you, and since you were talking about 360-degree feedback and how every discussion and every learning is actually a 360-degree feedback. Now, a very important part for when we talk about growing as an individual. So it's not just about that formal feedback that we are talking about. As you very rightly said, that every learning session is also a 360-degree feedback. And we learn every day from our co-workers, from our colleagues. So how does feedback from these co-workers and friends help that to think better about yourself and become better at your job? And how we as individuals should actually adopt that practice?
Yeah. When we talk about the co-workers or the friends, or like who are the immediate people who are like we are working, they know more about us, like rather than like we, because like when we talk about like manager reportee relationship, it's more towards work and only towards professional growth. But when we talk about the subordinates or the peers or the co-workers, where we share our individual thoughts, the personal issues, everything will be like discussed over them. So they know our more of a positive and negative, where we used to be very strong and where is our weakness. Everything they know it like very strong, very clearly. So when these things comes into the feedback structure, the comment from our own, when it comes from our friends or peers or co-workers, we take it in a very positive way, rather than when it comes from seniors or managers or like heads, it's going to be different. But when it comes from our co-workers or like of our levels, it's going to be a very positive feedback actually. So that will actually increase the effectiveness in learning. So that way, like we will change ourselves, like see, from A to B we will move. So when my colleague says, like see, normally this happens in my earlier companies, where I, before presenting something to the leaders, I always like have a feedback from my team itself whether this will work, because like I'm going to represent as a whole team, I'm not going to represent as an individual. So when I'm going to do it, I have to take the people who is in the ground level, because they are the one who is going to get affected with the decision that we are going to make. So the feedback should be for the overall group. So that is how it's been taken. So when this has been discussed with everyone, the co-workers, the reportees, peers, the amount of positiveness that we get it in the 360-degree view will be like more than like a single feedback. So that is how this can be scrutinize our ability. This will scrutinize our ability. So and like we will be like able to perform in a better way. See, that is how we started in our, see, maybe as a fresher I would be in a different way, but with this feedbacks and learning from friends or my colleagues or my reportees, I was just like, we have like taken a different route, right? Like we construct we construct ourselves. That is how I would say. We are constructing ourselves every day with the feedbacks. So it is like important to have, rather than like from a manager, it is very important to have it from their peers or the reportees. Like honestly, to be honest, to be on a very perfect word, it should be come from our reportees. When we are at like manager or like senior manager level, it should come from a teammate where like they are like how comfortable they are to work with us, and what is the actual thing that we have understood about them and how we are helping them to grow. As like Samir said, again, this is going to be on the mentoring part. That is also going to be your, only when you know about your team, your mentoring starts, and that is the feedback that we get it, and we are changing ourselves. So that is one important area that we need to take it up.
Yep, sure, Justin. So yeah, that's very rightly said. Like when it comes from our team, we are more open and we are more positively receptive on all the feedbacks. So Pratnya, continuing the same discussion and taking it a little more further. Of course, talking about or like taking feedback from our own teammates and our department like peers is something that helps us. Now, going beyond this, when we talk about getting those unexpected opportunities for personal development through the interactions with individuals who are outside our team or who are outside our department. So, how does these interactions shape our professional journey, and how we can actually make it as a practice to like get that overall development for us as an individual, as an employee?
Certainly, Kunal. So I think so. I can recollect something that had happened in my previous organizations as well. So we were a big team of HR professionals, which were broken down into sub team of HR consultants, which were catering to different other multiple clients. And I think so. We were always very receptive, always very open to what is something which is being incorporated in other teams, which might really add a lot of value to not just their work but also to the co-workers. So they had a very interesting activity which they had done, or they used to do on a weekly basis. They used to have these weekly huddles wherein they used to choose any particular topic or concepts into human resources, and we all together as teams, we used to brainstorm on that particular topic, and try to sort of, with that particular topic, try to address certain existing challenges, or any particular difficulties that we are facing up, right? For an example, when we were facing difficult to close a particular position with any particular client, right, we used to try and understand the concept of how the different type of personalities exist, right, and how these different type of personalities might be linked to our stakeholders. So which category each type of stakeholder will be falling into, right? So that kind of discussions used to happen, which were very different from our daily routine work. And this really kind of adds value to the team, to the discussions, because in a bigger picture it really helps to come out of your comfort zone, right? It tries to build certain values like team building, or leadership, or communication on a particular topic. And in the bigger picture, I think so this is what is required, right? When we talk about feedback evaluations, when we talk about goal settings, we have certain mini goals for us, right, which are met maybe every quarter or biannually, and these are then clubbed into a bigger picture, bigger goal, right? And this does not just involve your performance, right, your job based performance, but it also, the company also expects you to evolve as a person, right, in a behavioral way. Also expects you to polish your certain skills, for example your leadership skills, or your team building skills, or any other skills. And I think so these kind of initiatives really helps you to consciously, subconsciously, really helps you to develop on these particular skill sets. So that is something that I can think about, Kunal.
Thanks, Pratnya, for like being very clear and like outright on this. So, Atma, coming back to you. I'm sorry, I'll actually disturb you one more time for the questions. So, like,
Not at all.
since you have been part of like very like large teams, and like while we are actually implementing any kind of initiatives, whether it's 360-degree feedback or any other things, the most important thing for any organization, and especially with the larger teams, is how you can measure the effectiveness. Because if you cannot measure the effectiveness of an initiative, then there's no point of actually doing that, because we don't know that whether it is doing some wonders for us or not. So, how do you recommend organizations, including large organizations or early stage startups, to actually measure the impact and effectiveness of the 360-degree feedback initiatives, very like in a very data backed analysis kind of format?
Sure, absolutely. I will give you a real life example from Netflix. What the co-founders talks always hear about is the talent density. How do we hire the most talented, amazing individuals, and we keep only the highly effective people? And when we say that we keep the only highly effective people, that's where the tool, which is 360 feedback annually, comes very handy. So, for example, we run this cycle once a year. Once the cycle is over, all the managers they receive the feedback about an individual from their relevant stakeholders. Now it is the task of the manager, what we also call the keeper test. So keeper test is nothing but the manager has to evaluate that whether an individual in my team worth keeping or not. Of course, when I'm saying a lot of people must be thinking about that, manager might take vendetta or they might go the other way around. But see, in an organization, a manager cannot work in a silo, right? They have to bring in all the stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, their managers, their peers, the HR team also. So what they do when they look at the feedback, if there's an employee who needs an improvement, they have a conversation. And as I said that we have a culture of feedback, which is a great complementary tool to the 360 feedback, because 360 happens only once a year. Some organizations do it twice a year. We also do sort of twice a year now. But what I'm saying, the culture of feedback is like continuous feedback. Now you have a lot of data about an individual. Manager will have a conversation. They will see that what is the issue about. If the issue is coming up, which is about say ethics or integrity, then of course there is no question about keeping the employee or not. If the issue is around performance, or and in one or two cases, then managers have a very candid conversation with the individual that okay, how do we improve on that factor? And of course they work together, and it is very manager and individual driven, and some people work a couple of weeks together, some people work a couple of months together. Having said that, we don't have a PIP system in the place, performance improvement plan. At the end of the day, if the manager sees that the individual is not able to perform to their best, because which is what we require at Netflix, the individuals are let go with a good severance package. So yeah, this is how, I mean, we use the entire tool end to end, and because the feedback culture is very strong throughout the organization and throughout the year, and I think candidness really helps a lot between two parties. And at the end of the day, with a good sales package, I mean, everybody understands that why it has happened to them. I mean, instead of people are not clueless that okay, they have been asked to leave or they've been fired. It's not like that. What we hear a lot about, usually in the startup world, hire and fire culture. That is not the case here.
So yeah, of course. So setting the expectations very clearly, and of course setting the outcomes also very clearly, the positive and the negative side of them. Yep. So yes, candidness is a very very important thing. Like let's not overcomplicate thing. Keep it simple and keep it clear. Point. So thanks App for actually giving a very subtle answer, and of course a candid answer on a very very serious topic. So that actually shows that it's not just the word that you're actually putting it up. In fact, it is there in the culture, and that's what exactly what we say is actually what we should do at the end of the day. So thanks everyone. I mean, I have a long list of questions which can keep on going for the next one more hour, but of course, I would not want that to happen, because of course all of you also have very busy schedules, and we have a very strict schedule of 10 to 11. And I've already taken a very precious 1 hour from your very busy and very important and precious schedule. So thanks everyone. Here we are towards the end of the show, and that too well within time, and that too covering so many important points, so many important questions, with so vast and varied experience, with very different perspectives. So thanks to all the amazing speakers, to all of you for sparing this precious 1 hour and sharing your precious experience and your precious perspectives across different questions of the topic that we're talking about. Seems to a very normal topic, feedback, but a very very crucial and critical topic from the standpoint of the organizational growth and the individual growth. So thanks again, and special thanks to all of you, since as I told you, all our 24 episodes, the first 24 episodes were only live audio events. This was the first, which was the live video event. So thanks for being part of this special Silver Jubilee show of the Productivity League, hosted by We360.ai, where we're actually going live video for the first time. So thanks for being a part of the show, and a special token of thanks to everyone. It was lovely speaking to all of you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Thanks.
thanks a lot.
Thanks. All the best with the great work that you all are doing to empower your teams and organizations. Bye bye.
Thanks, man. Thanks for
So,
Bye.
thanks.
yep. So goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, amazing listeners. Goodbye, amazing speakers. See you all in our next episode of Productivity League with more energy and with something new. Signing off for now. Goodbye, everyone.